Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to a Sims 4 speedrunning video, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. So in today's video I'm going to be building the world of Del Sol Valley, which is the world that we got from the expansion pack of Sims 4 Get Famous, and I'm going to be building a slightly run down motel. So this lot ends up having 10 motel rooms in total. We have 8 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom rooms, and then we have 2 bedroom and 1 bathroom, and altogether it is built on this 30 by 30 lot. Now when you enter a brand new save file and you visit the world of Del Sol Valley, the lot that I'm building on originally, it's meant to be a lounge community venue type, but something that I've discovered through gameplay, it's actually kind of pointless, because pretty much where I'm building, the neighbouring lot to this one also by default when you enter a brand new save file also ends up being a lounge community venue type, and so in the same neighbourhood, neighbouring lots, you've got 2 of the exact same thing and they don't offer any sort of different gameplay. And so I was thinking, well, what kind of things would you find quite handy to have in the world of Del Sol Valley? Maybe your Sims are coming here and maybe they're going to do a bit of sightseeing. Maybe they're going to do a little bit of celebrity watching. Maybe they're coming to go and watch a new celebrity film premiere or something. Or maybe your Sims are just going on a first date and they might need a motel room. And so I thought, well, I've wanted to build a motel for literally the longest time, like years at this point. Why not just make this into a motel and make it a little bit slightly run down? And yeah, that is exactly what I did, and I'm just so happy and just so extremely proud of the way this lot came out and the way it turned out, and so I really hope you like it as well. But anyway, getting on from that and talking a little bit more about the build itself and also what I'm doing right now. So you can see that I've built the main structure of the build. I can't even really call this a structure, can I? Because you would have seen the way that I built it. I literally just made 2 rectangles and just smudged them together, and then on either side of the rectangles we have these little bump outs. On the left hand side over here, on the inside it ends up being like the motel room check-in area. Honestly, on the inside I did one of my favourite things I think I've ever done in any build ever, and it was create some sort of like little motel room key situation, because I'm thinking I want this to be as realistic as I can possible. And realistically, when you check into a motel or a hotel, there's going to be some sort of like key safe situation behind the front desk where all the master keys to all the different rooms are kept. And so what I did is I found some debug keys that your Sims would physically give each other in gameplay in the debug menu, and I rotated them to make it look like they're hanging off this little rod. Honestly, it's the smallest little detail, but I've just been so proud of it and I'm really excited to show you it. But other than that, the little bump out on the right hand side, that ends up being almost like a bar for the motel. Now currently speaking, I'm saying currently because I'm really hoping this will be changed in the future, but currently we do not have any official lot type in the game where you can run any sort of like motel or hotel. The way that you can do it is with the 4 rent expansion pack, you can technically run this as like a little motel situation. Maybe your Sims own it and then they rent out all the individual rooms. I feel like that would be the most fun for gameplay, and I'm probably going to do that by myself. But then also I was thinking, well, we've got like the generic lot types. We've then also got a community lot type that is a swimming pool that ends up being quite a big swimming pool on this lot. But then also, if you wanted to, you could just run this as a bar, and maybe your Sims are going on a first date. Maybe the first date that they're going on is probably not what they was thinking in their head, and your Sims date has taken them to this bar and just ends up being this quiet run-down-ish motel bar. It's not the nicest, but it just offers something for gameplay. I'm thinking if your Sims are staying here, I don't want them to get bored, because I'm probably going to play this myself, to be honest with you, and I know what I'm like, and I'll get bored after 5 minutes, and so I need stuff to keep me entertained. I need different things, and so I thought, well, if I have like a little motel bar, then yeah, it just offers some new gameplay. Your Sims can go in there, they can have a drink. I made it so there's like a little stage area, and maybe a band plays every evening. It also does kind of tie in with the storyline for some of the Sims that are going to be living in these motel rooms, because by the way, I knew coming into this build I was going to be decorating a ton of different hotel rooms or motel rooms, and I needed them to be a little bit different. I needed to have some sort of storylines to work towards, and so the way that I kind of approached this build, I decorated 7 of the rooms to have some sort of personality, to have some sort of Sim stay inside of them, and then we have 3 vacant rooms that your Sims could just come in and stay in, which I kind of feel like is the best of both worlds, because if you want to and you want to get your Sims to maybe come and stay here for an evening, you have the option of 3 different basically vacant motel rooms that are just very bog standard motel room decorated. But then if you wanted to, maybe your Sims are one of the residents that are living on this motel, because I thought it'd be quite fun to think about all the different people in real life that might be living in motels or hotels, and yeah, kind of decorate some of the motel rooms to be towards them kind of Sims. And so I've got a little list in front of me, and I'm going to read it out to you. I wrote this list basically when I was doing the wallpaper and the flooring. I was thinking about it, but basically I decorated one room for a criminal Sim. I just thought that'd be so funny for gameplay, and I'll tell you why it's fun in a second. But we've got one motel room decorated to be for a criminal. We've got one to be decorated for an older cat lady. We've then got one to be for an unfaithful businessman. I mean, technically speaking, it's like the honeymoon suite of this motel, but that is very much a stretch, because basically in this one I made it so there's like rose petals all on the floor. I made it so it looks like the Sim that is staying in that motel room. They've gone down to the little front desk, they've ordered a bottle of champagne. I've just placed down like candles into that room. I basically tried to make it look like some sort of honeymoon suite, but I just thought it'd be really funny for gameplay if it was maybe one Sim in your Sims world is a little bit unfaithful, and they've said to the missus, I'm going on a work trip, but they're actually not, they're going to this little motel. I had a really fun time decorating that one. But yeah, we've got one for an unfaithful businessman. We've then got one for a struggling actor. The world of Del Sol Valley itself came up from the Get Famous expansion pack, like I mentioned, but with that Get Famous EP, we got the ability for, if your Sims want to, they can become famous actors or actresses, and so I felt like it kind of made sense to have a struggling actor stay in this motel room, and so yeah, there is a struggling actor room. We then also have a singer mum and twin boy motel room. They stay in one of the 2-bed, 1-bathroom motel rooms, and to be completely honest with you, I actually based the storyline for that Sim off, did you ever used to watch The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? Or like The Sweet Life on Deck? Basically, I tried to put that into The Sims. If you haven't seen it, by the way, it's not like a big deal, but basically it was this show that was on Disney Channel when I was growing up, and it followed the storyline of this mum who was a singer at this hotel, and she lived in the hotel with her 2 twin boys. There was one called Zack and one called Cody, and Zack was a bit naughty, he was a little bit rebellious, but now actually looking back on it, so was Cody. He was just as bad as his brother. And so, yeah, I remember watching that all the time when I was growing up after school, and when I was decorating all the different rooms and putting all the different wallpapers in, I was trying to imagine what kind of Sims would live at a motel, and I just remembered, well, hang on, what about that show that you used to watch when you was younger? And so, yeah, I made one of the rooms, or one of the motel rooms, into the singer who sings at the bar, the local bar, and then she stays there with her 2 twin boys. But then next to that one, I also have another mum. I was thinking it was a single mum, and she stays in the motel room with her infant. Now, the way that I approached every single motel room, I try to use the same furniture purposely, because I'm thinking, realistically, in real life, if you go to a motel, you go to a hotel, you walk in, they've all got the same bed frames, they've all got the same chest of drawers, the same toilets, and realistically in real life it's just duplicates of one another. And so coming into this build, that is what I tried to do, but it was more so with the decorations. I tried to make them seem like each of the rooms has their own little personality. But with the single mum, I made it so it was all the same furniture, but where this single mum had to fit in a travel cot, I then placed down little markings onto the floor where I imagine that the bed used to be, but she's since pushed it over and she's now made space for her little travel cot area. But then next to that, the last room that I decorated for a particular Sim was a secret agent Sim. Now, this is why I thought it would be really funny to have a criminal also stay in this lot, because I'm thinking the criminal that stays in, let's say, motel room number 1, they're really naughty. They're a criminal. They're up to some naughty stuff. But then I was thinking that there is a secret agent that has maybe been set on this case of this one particular Sim, and they are basically on a bit of a stakeout. They need to watch over them, and they need to watch their movements and stuff. And so I purposely placed it so the criminal's room is on the downstairs portion of the motel, basically right by the check-in area. But then on the upstairs level, on the right-hand side, so the opposite end of the building, is where the secret agent is going to be. But I purposely placed it so where the secret agent's motel room would be, they can watch over the criminal. But in that room, I placed down loads of different crime scene stuff. I placed down loads of different markings onto the floors of different papers and just stuff to make it look like a secret agent is actually working on a case and they're just about to get this criminal. And I thought it'd be really fun. I also tried to make it look like they've got some sort of make-do listening device in their room as well. I placed down, it's meant to be some sort of TV aerial. We got it from the StrangerVille game pack, but I basically placed it down onto a video games console and made it look like a travel-friendly listening device. We have actually got a listening device from the StrangerVille game pack, but it's a bit big and bulky, and it would also be different furniture to the rest of the other motel rooms. And going back to coming into furnishing them, I wanted to make it so they've all got the same furniture, but it's just different decorations, and sometimes things might be pushed over, or, you know, just make it so it does look like different Sims that actually live in or staying in these motel rooms. But yeah, because of that, I didn't want to place down the actual listening device, and so I decided to make my own. But yeah, that was basically the overview for the 7 different rooms that are decorated to be for certain types of Sims. Like I said, there is still an extra 3 vacant rooms, so if you fancy, your Sims can still stay here. And yeah, they just look like regular decorated motel rooms. They're not really decorated to any sort of personality or Sim. They're just bog standard ones. If you want to, you could download this lot and then maybe alter some of the hotel rooms, and maybe you've got a particular type of Sim with a particular type of decorations that maybe I didn't decorate towards, or maybe if you wanted to, you could make it so all of the rooms are the exact same. It is completely up to you. I wanted to have a bit of range when it came around to decorating this motel, and I also just thought it would be really fun to have different types of Sims of all different walks of life. Yeah, kind of like temporarily living in this motel. But either way, besides the point, moving over, as you can see, I'm just currently coming in and basically figuring out what I'm going to put on the back end of this lot. Now, the lot that I'm building on, like I said, it's a 30 by 30, but I really wish it was a tiny little bit bigger, because basically the way that I built it, we have pretty much the motel itself, which is this massive rectangle kind of shape, but then we have a swimming pool in the middle, and then around the swimming pool on the exterior I made it so there was a car park. But then with that, it kind of didn't give me that much room on the back portion of this lot, and so I'm basically just coming in now and just figuring out what would be on the back of a building. I made a bin room. There's a garbage bin, so if your Sims want to woohoo in it, they can do. There's like a nice little space for, I say nice, it's actually not nice, it's surrounded by rubbish, but there is somewhere for your Sims to woohoo on this lot, other than a bed or a wardrobe. But then also, as well as that, I placed down some graffiti, I placed down some rubbish, I placed down loads of different pipes and just random stuff, random just things I feel like you would find on the back of a building. I also placed down some movie posters. Where I'm building in the world of Del Sol Valley, your Sims will sometimes be invited, if they're a celebrity or if someone in a public eye, they will sometimes be invited to the neighbouring lounge, and they can have like award shows. It's called the Starlight Accolades, I think, off memory, but it's basically somewhere where if your Sims are in a new movie and it's just been nominated for an award, they'll basically visit this neighbourhood. And so I placed down some movie posters, both onto the back of the building, but then also on some boulevards, which I placed down into different areas of the roof. For the majority, a lot of the different boulevard signs that I have used are from the Get Famous live edit menu, I think, off memory. I'm not sure if you can find these in the regular build and buy category, but I did also use some non-movie posters on some signs. I placed down one for a cat food sign. I just felt like it was a bit realistic. I mean, sometimes when you drive around, you don't always see the latest film being advertised. Where I live, to be fair, where I live, there's not actually that many movie posters. But if ever I go into London, I always just see like brand advertisements. I was thinking maybe it's a particular type of cat food brand, and so I placed that down onto one of the roof areas. But currently over here, I'm just coming in and basically trying to figure out what I could actually put on this top bit, and I really struggle with this because basically I really wanted to use these roof vents. The ones that I wanted to use are from the Get Famous expansion pack. I was able to use them in a small little tiny area, kind of on like that higher platform over there, but the thing is I wanted to place them in more areas on the roof as some sort of like decoration. But the vent itself, where would it be coming out of? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the vent needs to come out of some sort of wall or just some sort of platform. And so I end up placing down a few of them coming out of some sort of like heating, air conditioning system, whatever it is. But then I also placed down some Journey to Batuu vents, but I rotated them 90 degrees and popped them into the scene itself, just as like an extra bit of decoration. But other than that, as you can see, I've already done like the swimming pool area. I've placed down some sun lounges. You might have noticed I purposely placed down sun lounges in different colours to one another, because the thing is, I wanted this hotel to be a little bit grubby. Like, I didn't want it to be the most upkept. I'm thinking we're building like a downtown motel, slightly run down. Probably wouldn't want to stay in myself, but if your Sims, they need to, there is an option here for them. And so I was thinking, well, this motel probably wouldn't have the nicest, most clean little sun lounges for your Sims to lay on. One, I try and make it look like some of them are a bit grubby, and so I placed down these 2 sun lounges, both are from, I think, the Sims 4 base game, but I placed one down in kind of like a whitey grey swatch, but then another one in a proper grey swatch. I was just thinking the proper grey one was just dirt, or like it's just used and it's just a little bit grubby. But then as well as that, I placed down these plastic chairs. They are from the 4 Rent expansion pack, and it actually looks like to me them sun lounges and that little armchair are meant to be in a matching set. I just feel like they're just so motel coded. Like maybe it's just me, but like a plastic chair like that's a little bit grubby, I just feel like you would find in a motel. And so yeah, I placed some of them down. They do also come in a grubby swatch. So there is 2 swatches of them little armchairs. One is white and then one is red, and they kind of look like they've got marks on them from like wear and tear. And so yeah, I just plopped them down. But then in the actual swimming pool itself, you would have seen I placed down 2 sun lounges, a horse ball, and then also what I was thinking could be some sort of rubber ring. Well, I mean, I say I placed down 2 sun lounges. It's actually 2 floaties. I don't know, I never know what you call them, but you know, like them things that your Sims can lay in a swimming pool. I placed down 2 of them. One of them looks to be a pizza, and then one of them is just like a regular one. But then I placed down a horse's ball. I was just thinking it was a beach ball, if I'm honest with you. We have got some cats and dogs toys that you could place down into a swimming pool if you don't have the Horse Ranch expansion pack, but I liked the idea of it, yeah, maybe it being a beach ball that maybe someone left in this motel and it's just been bopping about in that swimming pool for years. But then also the rubber ring, I was really proud of this. Basically, that is a debug base game item, and it's something that infants would use in gameplay. I think you can find infants using them basically when they're just sitting down on the floor, or potentially also in the bath. I know that they can use it when they're sitting on the floor, because basically I just remember I've got this one screenshot of this one sim that I'm playing with right now, and when she was a little girl, she held this in her hand for the first time, and I was like, oh my god, this is the perfect picture. And I've got a picture of my sim holding, it's actually meant to be tiny, that green rubber ring in her hand. And yeah, it's just a base game debug item, but I feel like it looks like some sort of pool floaty that's a rubber ring. I'd love if one day we could get some more like pool floaty things, because we've only got the ones that your Sims can lay on. I'd like to have some more like swim pool activities. Like for example, if we could have, well, for starters, actually, if we could get an update in diving board, I would absolutely love that. But then also, yeah, like a rubber ring that your Sims can maybe practice diving through or something. I just feel like that'd be really fun, and we don't really have anything like that in the game. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I'm currently coming in and trying to decorate these carts. Now, the carts that I'm using, if you're curious, they are from the Get Famous expansion pack, and they're meant to be some sort of like TV extra storage kind of thing from that DLC. But I liked the idea of, well, this is a motel. A motel probably has cleaners. Why don't I try and make it look like a little cleaning cart? And so that is exactly what I did. I basically got 2 of them. I popped one downstairs on the right hand side and then one upstairs on the left hand side. And I basically merged in some towels. I merged in these little baskets that look like they've got some sort of linen inside of them. I then also found a debug pillow, and then also placed down some cleaning supplies, or at least in my head, the cleaning supplies. When your Sims actually clean something in the game, they'll use that little bottle. Then also place down a little bin on one side of it, and to me it looks like that little trolley that people would use when they clean motel rooms. But either way, moving over from that and moving on into the first room that I'm going to be decorating, which is that initial kind of like check-in desk area of this motel. So in here, I wanted there to be some sort of like mailbox thing, just in case you actually want your Sims to live here. I'm thinking if you've got the 4 Rent expansion pack, you could really use this as a motel. Like you could have your Sim, if I was you, I'd probably use the bigger rooms and basically have your Sims live there and then rent out all the different rooms. But I still want there to be somewhere where your Sims who are living on this lot could collect their mail. And so I placed down a mailbox in here. The one that I've used is from the 4 Rent expansion pack. And then also in here as well, it ends up being like a little armchair, a little vending machine. And then over here by this back desk, I placed down some sort of like locker. I'm thinking maybe the manager of this motel, that's where they keep like their backpack or something. And then on this little side table next to it, I placed down some filing cabinets as well as a fishbowl. I don't know why, but I felt like a fishbowl just kind of went in this space. And so, yeah, I put down a little base game fishbowl next to it. But then for the check-in desk itself, I used this one which we got from the Get to Work expansion pack. I'm pretty sure this is a desk which your Sims would go up to if they're in the police department, the hospital career, and then also actually now thinking about it, maybe the scientist career as well. It's basically like a little receptionist checking desk area thing it was kind of perfect for this room. And so yeah, I placed that down, and then on one side of it I placed down an extra counter space. The desk itself, like the object, does come with like some pre-built-in clutter. So we've got a little phone on the right hand side. We've also got some sort of like files on the left hand side, and it's got like post-it notes and stuff, but I still wanted to make it feel a little bit more custom and a little bit more motel-ish like. And so I placed down a games controller. I'm thinking maybe you got like a young kid, something maybe, who often manages the front desk of this motel, and so maybe when no one's checking in, they like to play video games on their little like PSP or something. And so I placed down a video games controller as well as some gaming related magazines, and then I also placed down behind it some files. I placed down a calendar. I placed down a broom. I did try and find the one that we got from the Realm of Magic game pack, which is kind of like, oh, I don't know what it's called, but you know with brooms, you have two different, you have a wet one or you have a dry one. Wait, no, that sounds really weird. Let me elaborate. So basically, you know, sometimes when you're like sweeping your floors or you're cleaning your floors, sometimes you'll use a brush that's dry or a broom that's dry to kind of like collect all the dust, collect like random bits and bobs on the floor. And then normally you'd put that stuff that's collected into a little dustpan and brush and then put it into the bin. But then after that, you can then clean your floors. Basically, from the Realm of Magic game pack, we've got a broom in the game that looks like the one that's meant to be used when you're wetting the floors. I tried to find that one, I couldn't, so I just went for a regular old like dry brush. That sounds really strange to say. Hopefully you're getting what I'm talking about, but either way, besides the point, as you can see in here as well, I'm just going around and placing down some posters onto the wall. I placed down one for, you know, adopt a pet, adopt a cat, adopt a dog or something. Place one of them down into here. Also placed down at some sort of like corkboard situation where it looks like it's got almost like wanted pictures on it. I thought it'd be really funny for the criminal that's staying in this motel, because literally on the opposite side of this wall is where they're going to be sleeping, and to me the corkboard that looks like it's got two pictures of two Sims, maybe one of them is, yeah, the Sim that is staying in this motel room or something. But also in here I end up placing down a security camera, which I feel like, to be honest, is a little bit high tech and a little bit too modern for this motel, because I really tried to make it feel kind of outdated and a little bit run down. Like, you wouldn't really want to stay here, but if every other Premier Inn is booked, this is your only option kind of thing. And so I placed down a security camera. There's only one in this motel and it's just behind the front desk area, but currently over here, as you can see, I'm doing one of my favourite things that I think I've ever done for cluttering, and it's try and create this little like key stand situation for all the different motel room keys. Now initially when I came in and I decorated this little front check-in desk area, I did try and find this key when I was decorating, but for the life of me, I could not find it. And so I pretty much finished up this room, but then I was thinking about it and I was like, no, I desperately want to have this little key situation, because to me, it just makes it feel so realistic, and it's just, you would find this kind of thing in a motel room. And so I went through the debug menu and I spent, I'm not joking, probably about 10-15 minutes just trying to find this one singular object, because I knew that we must have a little debug hotel room or residence key somewhere in the debug menu. Because the thing is, in gameplay, we've got this interaction. We first got introduced to it from the City Living expansion pack. It was basically, if your Sims have got an apartment, they could ask their mates if they want a residence key. Wouldn't recommend it, it's quite annoying. I'm pretty sure they also patched it in so it's now a base game thing as well, because my Sims, they keep on having the interaction so they can give their granddad a residence key, and it annoys me. I don't want granddad walking in when my Sims are like cooking or something. And so it is a base game thing, I'm pretty sure now. But yeah, there's this interaction where physically in gameplay, your Sims will hold a front door key, and where your Sims will physically hold it in an animation, I know that I would be able to find it in the debug menu. And so I spent ages basically going through the base game debug menu, and I eventually found it. And then I basically just got the key itself, I rotated it 90 degrees, I then found this little curtain rod. The one that I've used is from the modern Luxe Kit, and I basically sized it down and moved it down onto the wall, and then I moved objects, these keys, to be dangling off it. I'm just so happy with it. I'm just so in love with it. And as well, actually, you won't see it because I did it off camera, but I then came in and then rotated some of the keys to look like they're hanging ever so slightly differently. It's just such a small little detail. But I think it's like one of my favourite things I've ever done for cluttering. But either way, besides the point, moving over, you can see that I've now moved on into the first motel room, and this is the one that I decorate to be for the criminal. So in here, I knew that I needed to basically figure out all the different furniture pieces that I was going to be using, not only in this motel room, but then also the other ones, because going back to, I wanted to decorate these motel rooms and this motel lot to be as realistic as possible. And realistically, if you go into a motel room and your mate's got a room next door and you go into their room, exact same furniture. It's going to be the exact same thing. It's only with the decorations and kind of like little bits of personalization here and there, you can kind of see quite a contrast and quite a difference between the different kind of Sims, the different types of personalities that are staying in each of these rooms. Starting off though, I needed to figure out what bed I was going to use, because the way The Sims 4 works, the bed itself, you can't change the bed frame colour and then also the duvet colour swatches. And coming into this build, I didn't just want to have the same bed swatches throughout every single room. Even though I know that is realistic, I just wanted there to be a little bit of difference here and there. And then I remembered, in at the debug menu from the Eco Lifestyle expansion pack, we've got this like mattress kind of thing almost, but it's got 7 different swatches of 7 different almost like bed duvet covers. And so I thought, well, I'll use that, but then I'll use something to make it look like it's got some sort of bed frame. And so I decided to use some signposts that we've got from the Cats and Dogs expansion pack. Basically, all I did is I plopped it down on either side of the bed, so you've got kind of like a little headboard and then like a, is it called a footboard? I don't know what it's called, but we had 2 either sides of the bed, and I sized them down ever so slightly, and then using the tool mod, I elevated the back headboard down into the floor by 0.2%, and then the one that would go on like the end of the bed, I wanted it to be a little bit lower, and so I lowered it down by 0.4%, and then yeah, you got like a little custom bed frame. That way I could have different mattress covers or different like duvet covers throughout all the different motel rooms, but then I could still have the same colour swatch of the bed frame. But also in here as well, as you would have seen, there ends up being like a little microwave area, there ends up being a coffee machine, there does also end up being a make-do wardrobe situation, because basically in all these different motel rooms I wanted there to be a walk-in wardrobe. 1, because your Sims can change outfits in there, 2, because it looks kind of realistic, and 3, it's also another woohoo location. And so I thought I want there to be some sort of like walk-in wardrobe in each of the hotel rooms. But for the first room that I decorated, I tried to decorate it for a criminal, and so you would have seen I placed down like piles of money, which I imagine would be stuffed under the bed, and then I also placed down what I was personally picturing to be some like crime map of maybe like the blueprints of maybe like the local bank or something, and I plopped that down to the bed. There is also like a basketball bat thing by the front door, and then I placed down like a purposely really old kind of grubby laptop onto the computer desk area. But in terms of the wardrobe situation, for that one, I thought it'd be really funny to place down a pretend ATM into the actual wardrobe itself, because I'm thinking, Sim that sleeps in their room, naughty person, they're not up to any good. And so I'm thinking, well, maybe one of their crimes that they've committed is that they've recently robbed an ATM. It's just an object that we've got in the Sims 4 base game. You can find it if your Sims are in the criminal career. And so where I end up placing down like the get together wardrobes in all the other motel rooms, in the criminal's room I placed down an archway, and then I placed down a door onto one side of it. In the actual wardrobe itself, I placed down a chest of drawers and then some hanging clothes, but then in the corner I placed down this ATM, and it's a small thing, but I felt like it was really fitting for the Sim that was asleep in that room. But either way, besides the point, moving over, as you can see, I'm actually just coming in and finishing up decorating the next motel room, which this one that I'm currently decorating, I did try and make for an older cat lady. Now, to be honest, I don't know why an older cat lady would be living in a motel, because by the way that I decorated these rooms, I tried to get the point across that it's either they're living in these motel rooms, or maybe they're like temporarily living there, or maybe they're living there for a matter of months or something. For the singer mum and then her 2 twin boys, I was thinking that's more like a long-term thing, but for the other ones I'm thinking maybe they're only here for a few months or something. But for the old cat lady, yeah, I didn't really have an idea of why this older woman would be staying in this motel complex, but I just really liked the idea of, well, she's really grumpy and maybe she's not allowed to have a cat, but she just does what she wants anyway. She's a little bit stubborn like that. And so, you know, I decorated that motel room to have like a litter box. There is also some newspaper on the floor. There is also like a cat scratching post. It's quite simply decorated, but it was just the idea if I have that sim. But moving over currently, I'm coming in and decorating one of the, what I was picturing would be vacant motel rooms. So like I said, there ends up being 3 vacant, almost like empty motel rooms on this lot. out. So you've got 3 different options. Maybe if your Sims are coming here for maybe like a date, maybe you've got like a teenager that's running away from home or something and you wanted them to stay in a motel temporarily whilst maybe they're trying to sort out some sort of like housing situation, maybe they're trying to get an apartment, whatever you fancy. I just still wanted there to be at least multiple different options for if you did want to live in this motel and you wanted to maybe decorate one of the rooms to be for one of your Sims. Yeah, you've basically got 3 different options. 2 of the empty rooms are 1 bed, 1 bath rooms, but then there is this one room, which is a vacant 2 bed, 1 bathroom motel room. And to be honest, if I was you, I'm probably going to end up doing this myself, but I think when it comes around to me actually planning this lot myself, I'm probably going to get my Sim to live in this motel room, and you can definitely transform it and make it more apartment-like, because you might notice the way that I'm decorating them, I'm not giving them like full fleshed out oven, stove situation, multiple different kitchen counters. I'm quite literally giving them the bare basics for them to kind of like cover all their different needs. You've got a microwave, you've got a coffee pot, you've got a bathroom that's got a toilet, sink, shower, bath combo, you've got a bed. Pretty much anything that would require filling your Sims needs up, you can do from your Sims living in one of these motel rooms. Don't get me wrong, they'll probably get a few uncomfortable moodlets after a while if they keep on eating microwave meals over and over again, but it just adds to it, doesn't it? Like, it's just like a realistic thing. If I was going to be staying in a motel room and I had to keep on eating like microwave pastries or pizza roll-ups or whatever again and again and again, after a while I'd get a bit sick of it. There is a few vending machines though, by the way, on this lot. You might have seen there ends up being 2 outside the check-in desk area and then also 1 in that room as well. But I mean, your Sims have got options, but yeah, if I was you, I would definitely transform that first vacant room into apartment, and then yeah, your Sims could be the landlord and they could run this motel, and I feel like it would just be so much fun, and I'm actually really excited to do it myself. But either way, besides the point, moving over, as you can see, I just quickly popped back into the other motel rooms that I've decorated so far and decided to switch out the fridges in them. Now, the fridges that I placed down into the first 2 motel rooms, you might notice it's actually a new fridge that we've got in the game, and I was speaking about this last week because basically we've got this new thing in the game where it's like login rewards and there's different things. There's a new dartboard, there's a new mini fridge, there's a load of new stuff. But basically, I'm a bit confused. If I was to do a build and I use one of these new login bonus rewards, if when you download the build, if it's still going to be there or it might disappear. Because the whole kind of idea behind this new like login reward, you log in a certain amount of times in a week, I think it is. And basically, after a number amount of times, you get certain different items. I just don't want to use an item in one of my builds that maybe the week that you would have logged in and got it, maybe you wasn't able, maybe you were busy, you were working, not everyone can play the game all the time. And so I'm a little bit confused if I can place these new objects down into my builds, and if you don't have them in your game, if you were to download my builds, if they're still in there, I'm a little bit just like, I don't know about it. And so for the first 2 motel rooms, I placed down this new like bonus login item fridge. But then as I came in, I started decorating the 3rd motel room, I started thinking about it, and I really didn't like the idea of maybe you didn't log in that week when the fridge was out, and maybe you don't have the fridge, and it didn't make sense. And so I basically just decided to revisit the motel rooms and swap out the mini fridge for one that we got from the Discover University expansion pack. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which is the one that I decorated to be for an unfaithful businessman. Now, technically on paper, if you wanted to, you could definitely use this motel room to be some sort of like honeymoon suite. Maybe your Sims have just got married, and maybe they want to go away on holiday, but they ain't got the funds for it, and so maybe they booked to stay in this lovely motel. I just loved the idea of having some sort of like unfaithful businessman maybe staying here, maybe told his partner, oh, I'm going away on a business trip, but they're not. This is not a business trip. This is very much they're meeting someone in a motel room. It's just something that I see all the time in like TV shows and stuff, and so I thought it'd be really funny to put it into the game. And yeah, you can see in this room, I end up placing down so much like Love Day confetti onto the floor. If you're curious where that is from, we actually recently got it from the Party Essentials kit. It's a rug that we've got in the game, and there's multiple different swatches of multiple different things, but there is a swatch of it that looks to be confetti, and so I placed that down. We do also have some other confetti from different DLCs. I did attempt to place one down from the City Living expansion pack, but that was like more rose petals, and it looks a little bit more expensive, whereas the one that I placed down into like the Honeymoon suite, it just looks like paper or like plastic hearts, and it looks a little bit cheaper, and it felt like it fitted better, and so I decided to place that down. But yeah, also in that room I placed down like singular roses, I placed down little candles, and just I tried to make it feel as romantic as what I can make this grubby motel feel, and I had such a fun time doing it. And yeah, either way, moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next room, which I believe this one ends up being kind of like a vacant empty one for your Sims to stay in. Now with the 2 vacant 1-bed 1-bathroom hotel rooms or motel rooms that are decorated, I only show you the furnishing for this one just because it's literally the same thing. The only difference really is I changed the bed swatch colour, but other than that, it's pretty much the whole like same idea of what is going to be in the downstairs room. And so to me, it felt a little bit unnecessary, like showing both of them, because there's no point. I mean, one of them's got a few more scuffs in the wall and a few more like marks and that, but it doesn't really warrant an extra bit of footage for it, if you get what I mean. And so yeah, I only show you the furnishing for that one, but in there, if you want to, again, you could probably make that into like a little apartment. It is a bit small. It's definitely smaller than the 2-bed vacant motel room, but I just wanted you to have options. I just wanted you to have free reign, basically, of this motel, and your Sims of all different types, of personalities could come here and they could stay here and they could just, yeah, live here full time if they wanted to. But either way, moving over, you can see that I've now moved on into the next motel room, and this one I really struggled with, and it is the one that I decorated to be for a struggling actor. Now, where we're building in the world of Del Sol Valley, and mainly like one of the main things that your Sims might do when they visit this world is maybe they come to different film premieres because there's someone that wants to be in the acting career. I felt like coming round to decorating these rooms, it kind of made sense to make it so there was one room for a potential struggling actor just trying to make their name big and just trying to make it in the acting world. I just really struggled when it came around to actually trying to get that point across in the decorations. I ended up placing down 2 skill books on the bedside table. One of them I think is meant to be like related to the acting skill, and then I think the second one is meant to be for the singing skill. But yeah, I just really struggled trying to get the point across and trying to get almost like the personality of this Sim across in the decorations. I did also place down some suitcases and a backpack into this room, which I don't think I placed down in many of the other rooms. I know, for example, I placed down in like the Honeymoon suite, if you want to put it that way, the one that was for like an unfaithful Sim, I placed down a business suitcase in there because I was thinking if you actually want to play along the storyline of your Sims are pretending to go on a work trip, but they're actually coming to this motel and meeting someone, for gameplay purposes, I placed down a briefcase, which I imagine that they leave their house with to kind of play into the idea. But for the most part, I don't think I've really placed down that many suitcases in this build. But in the acting motel room, yeah, maybe the Sim has recently moved from, say, like Windenburg or Oasis Springs or Henford and Bagley or just somewhere where there's not as many opportunities, and they're just currently camping out in a motel room until they're able to find a more stable living situation or something. But in there as well, I placed down some sort of like comedy awards onto like the little desk area. In each one of the motel rooms, I wanted there to be some sort of like makeup vanity, because I find that whenever I go to a hotel, there is always somewhere for me to do my makeup. Must admit, I always do it on the balcony. To me personally, ending the day with sitting on the balcony, doing your makeup to basically just go downstairs and eat some dinner, but sitting on a balcony, doing your makeup and eating a packet of crisps is definitely up there with one of my favourite moments of going away on a summer holiday. But yeah, no, normally when you go into a motel room, there is somewhere for you to potentially apply like your skincare or your makeup or something. And I wanted to do that in these motel rooms, but I knew for some of them, say for example, the secret agent and the criminal, I might want to have a laptop. And so the way that I did it is I just tried to make it look like it was a dressing table. I just placed down like a regular dining table and then a mirror onto the wall. And then for some of them, I placed down some makeup onto like the computer desk. But then for some of them, I just placed down a little laptop. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next motel room, which this is the one that I decorated for the singer mum and her 2 twin boys. So for this one, I will say it's the one that's not as like the other motel rooms, and that is purely because in this bedroom, I decided to go for some bunk beds, because I'm thinking these twin boys have probably been brought up in this hotel or motel room, and instead of having like the default beds that come with the room if you was going to book it, I feel like they're probably in the bin. They probably broke them. I imagine them to be quite naughty, and so maybe one of them, I don't know what he did, but I imagine just one of them just did something and it broke the bed or something, and maybe over time they decided to get a bunk bed in here. It also just gives you some extra space for like gameplay activities. I've got a doll's house in this room as well. I think I also placed down a kids toy box, but for this motel apartment, I tried to make it feel a lot lived in comparison to the other motel rooms, just because I was thinking that, yeah, the mum and her two boys have been staying here for a few years now, and maybe she doesn't even pay rent. Maybe the way that it works is she performs at the bar that is on this lot for free, and maybe instead of like getting a check from the motel manager or like the motel person that owns it, the landlord, maybe she just asks if she can stay in the motel for free. And yeah, maybe that's something that works. But you can see in her bedroom, I tried to place down things that kind of relate to her being a singer. I placed down a microphone in front of the mirror. It was the best way that I could think to get it across. Like, how else do I really show that this sim is a singer without placing down loads of different like posters onto the wall? Because I feel like posters that are music related would have worked quite well in this room. But I was imagining that she is a mum, probably in her like late 30s, early 40s or something. She's not going to have music rock posters on her wall. And so the best way that I could kind of get it across was, yeah, I placed down a little microphone into the corner of her room. Actually, as well, thinking about it, I think I placed down a book on her bedside table that also references singing, and so maybe she's looking into new singing techniques or something. But either way, as you can see in here, for this motel room as well, they do end up having a little TV area. It's only a small one, it's only a retro one. The one that I've used is from a Basement Treasures kit, but I was thinking where this is pretty much like their home full time, and the Sims that sleep and stay in this room, they never leave. Maybe they found the TV in the dumpster or something. I don't know. I just felt like having a TV in this one motel room in comparison to the others that don't have a TV in just makes it look like the Sims that stay in this one are a little bit more permanent, if you want to put it that way. There's also like a front doormat, which the other ones don't have, and then I placed down a wall decoration next to it that actually looks like it keeps their mail and their letters and stuff, and it looks like it's got the keys hanging off it. It's a little bit more lived in, that apartment. But either way, moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on into the next apartment, which is one that I decorated to be for a single mum that stays here with her infant. So in here, I knew coming into this room it might be a bit of a squeeze, because I wanted all the motel rooms to be laid out in pretty much the same layout, because again, it's just realistic for motel rooms. But I was thinking, well, if I carry over this same like floor plan that I did for the rest of the motel rooms, it's going to look a little bit weird, and it's going to be a little bit of a tight squeeze to place down a travel cot in here. And so I had the idea of, well, why don't I place down the bed but purposely make it look like the sim that stays in this room has pushed the bed more over towards the wall, and it's created some sort of like markings on the floor, and then that way there is space for the travel cot. I tried to still keep all the other furniture pieces in this room in pretty much the same layout to the other motel rooms, but yeah, I thought it was like a nice little detail to add into this room to make it feel a little bit more realistic and a little bit more lived in. You know, this mum, she had this massive travel cot. Where was she going to put it? I could have probably made it so that the travel cot was maybe on one side of the bed, but then I knew that it wouldn't be functional if it did it that way. And so I thought by adding in, yeah, these little marks onto the floor just makes it feel a little bit more realistic to this situation. But in here as well, as you can see, I ended up placing down a little like infant playmat thing next to the travel cot. I then also placed down some infant related clutter, and so we end up having some like baby wipes, we have some like baby bottles, some like infant clutter basically that we got from the Sims 4 base game. I did also purposely place, by the way, if you're wondering, the painting above the bed still to be in the middle of the room, because you might have noticed as I'm going through all these different motel rooms, we have this one painting on the back wall. The one that I've used is from the StrangerVille game pack, but I'm thinking when this mum probably pushed the bed over so she's got a little bit more space to work with, she wouldn't have taken a nail out the wall and like moved over the painting. The painting would be in the same exact spot, and so I purposely placed down the painting so yeah, it wasn't lining up centre with the bed, but I kind of did it on purpose, again, just to kind of get the point across. But also in that bathroom, as you would have just quickly seen, that bathroom ends up having a baby changing table area. Now, I was a little bit hesitant to include that into that motel room because none of the other motel bathrooms have a baby changing mat, or a baby changing station, because they didn't need it. And so when it came around to decorating that motel room, I was thinking, yeah, but I want to have somewhere so nappy can get changed. I mean, you can also do it without the changing table, but I like the idea of the realism. And so I was thinking maybe that one unit is maybe like the mother's unit, maybe it's like a child friendly unit or something, and that one does just have a little like community lot venue type baby changing one. Normally with the changing tables that we've got in the game, they look to come out of some chest of drawers where your Sims can change their clothes, but the one that I've used is meant to be one that you're placing down into community lots, and so yeah, I just popped it into the bathroom. But now moving over, I've now come in and started decorating the last motel room, and this is the one that I'd made into a secret agent's room. Now I just love this idea for gameplay of maybe you want to play along the storyline of you've got a really naughty Sim, they're up to no good, they're just always causing mess and chaos, and they're just overall probably not the nicest Sim to be around, and they're a bit of a criminal. And then you've got this second Sim that is the complete opposite, very friendly, very nice, and is a secret agent, and the secret agent is trying to currently basically just find and uncover some more information about the criminal, and they're staying in this motel room. I just thought it'd be really fun for gameplay, and so in here you would have seen I tried to make a almost like makeshift listening device. I just used that satellite dish that we got from the StrangerVille game pack and then popped it into a video games console. It kind of looks like a makeshift hearing device. I just liked the idea for like gameplay perspective, but also in here as well I ended up placing down another map onto the bed. I did that in the criminal's motel room, but for this one it doesn't look to be as naughty because the map that I placed down into the first criminal's motel room, I'm pretty sure it had like scissors coming out of it, so it looks like someone's almost like punctured the map itself with a pair of scissors. And there's also almost like a drawing of maybe like a potential route, and it just looks a little bit naughty, the one that I placed down into the criminal's motel room. But for the map that I placed down on the secret agent's bed, it just looks a little bit more put together. Maybe it's like a timeline of situations or something, but I just kind of wanted to have the difference between the crime maps on the bed just because I thought it would be a nice thing for decoration. But also in there, as you would have seen, I placed down some like debug crime photos and some case files and some other stuff that kind of relate to the police department in the game. But currently moving over, as you can see, I've now moved on into the last room in this whole entire lot, which ends up being at this little bar area. So in here, I will say, and you can probably already tell, it's quite snug. It's a very small space, but I mean, I tried to make it work. In here, we've got a bar, which the one that I've used is from the Horse Ranch pack, and then we've got some sort of like bar backing as sort of like decoration. We also end up having a few different dining room chairs in here, and then you can see that I also try and make some sort of like band performance area. Now the singer mum that lives in one of the motel rooms, I imagine this is where she spends every single evening. She's probably got like a guitarist or something that she hires, and together they basically entertain all the people that come at this bar. I end up placing down a radio station in here. It looks to be like a guitar amp. It's from the Moschino Stuff, but also end up placing down a little bar stool and another microphone. I then also placed down some flip-flop fairy lights. I never use them, but I feel like for a tacky bar, it kind of makes perfect sense. And then you will see as well, I end up placing down this little tin at the very front of it, which I tried to make into almost like a tip jar. The jar itself, if you're curious, is from the For Rent expansion pack, but then I found some simoleons, like a wad of actual simoleons, and then I moved objects inside of the jar, and then I just basically finished up that little jar area by placing down some simoleon coins, kind of like besides it and inside of it. But other than that, I'm pretty much going to go around this lot, finish it off, and that is pretty much it. So anyway guys, I'm going to end this voiceover right here. As always, you can download this build via the gallery. My gallery ID is JessicapieYT, or search for the hashtag JessicapieYT or just the hashtag Jessicapie. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, if you do like my content, then please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys.